Hey everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to part 13 of the Modified Hiro 1/12 scale Lancia Delta Integrale. So, back today, I am absolutely full of cold. My voice is destroyed. My eyes are streaming. So, if the voiceover is not the best, I apologise. It's taken me a long time to do a half-hour voiceover. I had to keep stopping for a drink and to rest my voice. So, please bear with me. Alright, we've got a house full over here. Hannah's got it. My little boy James has got COVID at the minute, so not great. Thankfully, me and Hannah are tested negative so far. But we've got a really bad cold, and it's absolutely crippling my voice. Alright? So it's part 13 today. Not been looking forward to this part at all. We're going to do the side windows and get them all in. So we're going to cut them off the vac form, get them all to fit, glue them in place, and then fit everything and get the doors on and pray that everything fits. Spoiler alert, it's right there. Look. So yeah, it's not the most interesting video, but we're going to clean a few parts up at the end as well. So to do this, as I've said lately jokingly, you look at this kit and go, right, I need to do those 3 things, I'll do them. But those 3 things need like 40 other things doing beforehand. So to get the windows in, we've got to flat, compound, polish the bodywork. We've got to have all the door cards done, which are already done, luckily. We've got to test fit everything, make sure it fits, glue the windows in after cutting them off. And then play around the doors and hope that they all fit, get the magnets on the doors. There's lots to do for each one of these steps. It's never a quick process to get somewhere. What would ultimately take 20 minutes on a Tamiya kit, on these takes you 4 hours to do, which is roughly what we got into this video today. 4 hours solid work, probably more actually, just to get these windows in place. Good news is we're making real headway in it, and we're not far off getting that engine in. So that's another part I'm looking forward to. Had to order a new windscreen. Got the windscreen. I was going to put it all in place. And as I applied some super glue, I don't know what happened, a bit of static. Just grabbed 3 strands of it and dragged it up the windscreen. I tried to polish it out. It doesn't look great. It's usable, but it doesn't look good at all. So I contacted Modified Hiro and asked them for a spare. And I've also lost a piece of bodywork. Lost a little piece of the corner trim off of the rear bumpers. So I've asked about getting that as well. In no rush right now for that. The windscreen can go in right at the very end if it needs to. But we're going to concentrate next time on getting those ancillary engine parts done. There's a few to go in. The engine can go in then. And we're really starting to cook on gas.
I don't know that.
Oh. My echo piping up. She doesn't know that. That makes 2 of us then. But like I say, today, let's get these windows in and let's get those doors in place. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. So I've been dreading doing this for some time. So we're going to put the side windows in on the rear and the front of the Lancia. So we're going to cut these out. The vac form, I'm a little bit off camera. I do apologise. I zoomed in for this. Completely forgot. But we come back into shot in a minute. So these are vac form. They are kind of imprinted inside the vac form where you've got to cut. It's quite difficult to see with the naked eye, never mind to show on camera. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right up to the very edge and then try and test fit it. So right now I'm just cutting off the outer parts that we're definitely not going to need. And then we're going to trim up close with our Tamiya decal scissors. For me, these are the perfect scissors. They're nice and sharp, accurate, and they cut really well. Like I say, just follow the demarcation on the clear parts. We're going to cut it nice and close and then test fit it. Now, it's going to need a lot of trimming and test fitting. So don't think you're going to cut it once and it's going to fit straight in. It's not. What I've probably combined into a couple of minutes video probably took me a good 20 minutes per side to do because it's constant checking, test fitting, trimming, test fitting, trimming, etc, etc. Windows are handed, so make sure you get the right one. They are convex, the correct side where needed. So as you can see, line it up, line what sides line up, make sure there's no gaps, and then visually look for areas that need trimming. Take it out and give it another trim. Because this was a very, very thin part, I opted to cut this with the scalpel. So using my metal ruler and a nice brand new blade in the scalpel. Give it a couple of runs over, and there we go. And again, just test fit, test fit, test fit. And one thing I would recommend, have a nice clean cotton cloth that you can keep wiping the window down. Because the cleaner you keep them now, the easier it will be to clean them up at the end. So, like I say, test fit, trim, test fit, trim. Took a lot of test fitting to do, and there's 4 of these to do. And the better you get them to fit, the better they're going to look. So, just trim it slowly, take your time, bit of patience, and there we go. That's it, pretty much in place where we want it. So, clean it up. I've got 2 nice pieces of cotton cloths here. These are my polishing cloths that have been cut to size. And we're going to get all the fingerprints off and everything before we glue it in place. Now, we're going to use gluing glaze from Deluxe Materials. As you can see, it's already out in the pot to the right. So it's been in this whole time, and all that time it'll be thickening up and going nice and sticky and gooey. And we're going to apply a fairly generous amount around the window frame itself. Now, you are going to get this on the window. It's inevitable, but we're using this because it's relatively easy, and I say relatively easy, to get it back off later on. So it'll be strong enough to hold the window in. You're probably going to need to clamp it for a bit. I've sped this up because otherwise it's like a 3-minute long video. But just apply a generous amount around it all and then spread it out like that, just like I did there. So I'm putting generous amount in and then spreading it out with a cocktail stick. You don't need loads of it. You don't want half a ton of it on there. You just need enough in there. It's going to get some purchase on the plastic itself. Like I said, we've got 4 to do on these. All the windows are handed and they are specifics. Make sure you get the right ones. And just take your time here. So, like I said, I've been dreading doing this for some time. And I thought, right, okay, let's just get into it. And let's do it. So with the glue in place, we're going to line it up. Push it in home. You should see the glue squeeze out. And there we go. That's it. Job done. Quite good. Not too bad at all. We're going to need a little bit of clampage in a few places. Nothing too drastic though. So we've got some clothes pegs. Nice and soft and gentle. And just hold it in some strategic areas. And then that's put to one side to dry. And again, repeat that on all the other 4 windows. These are the front ones now. Sorry, these are the back ones. My bad. And again, just take your time. Don't be worried about getting smears of glue on. If you can get them off now, go for it. It will come off with UMP airbrush cleaner or IPA later. Don't get too hung up on it. Now, we're going to need the rear quarter panels, the doors, and those front wings as well. The front wings aren't getting fitted in place today, but we are going to test fit them, and these rear vents for the rear C-pillar as well, which we're going to have to respray because the colour we've sprayed them is a little bit too dark red. So we're going to mix a bit of orange and red and make it a bit more of an applicable colour. Now we're going to polish all these parts up as well before anything can be done. As you know, we only did a few of the body panels in subsequent parts, or previous parts rather. So I've gone back to using the 3M Trizic pads here. I used these a while back. They're quite expensive. Depending on where you get them from, they can range from anywhere from £5 each to £10 each. But they're very good. They're very forgiving on the sander. They're made for a rotary orbital sander, so you can sand in any direction and it doesn't scratch. Like I say, they're not cheap. They're very well cushioned as well, so quite forgiving over edges and what have you. But what I was told years ago was what would take micromesh like 50 strokes across, this will do in 10. So it's a much more efficient way of sanding. So I'm going to go back to these. I bought a good little stockpile of the 3000, 6000. I've got some 8000 on the way as well. And I've replenished my stock of 12,000 micromesh to finish it off as well. So the finish isn't too bad on the 2K. It's not perfect by any means, but it's not too bad. So we don't need to do too crazy. So I'm literally just going to use the 6000 on this and then the 12,000 micromesh and clean it up as we go. And then we get to the UMP polish systems. As you can see, it's dull to finish right back. So that's looking good. And then we've got some micromesh. I've tore a strip off, and as I'm always doing, I never ever mark it and always forget what bit is which. So with this bit I've cut off, I'm going to write 12,000 on the back, so I know in future This is a piece of 12,000. And then we're going to very lightly go over this and give it a good polish up. Well, sand. Like I say, always be careful of the raised areas and edges because you can burn through very, very quick. At this stage in the build, we don't want to be doing this because we have to re-clear it, and we definitely don't want to be doing that. So patience is key here, and always use clean water. Don't put the pads down face down on the bench. If you're going to put them down, put them with the sand inside up. And then once you clean it all off and you're happy, we got our UMP compound. Nice clean cotton cloth, and go to town with that. And again, take your time. Be careful of any raised areas, any edges, because it's so easy to burn through. I've been there and done it, and it's heartbreaking to ruin your paint job. And it's very easy to do. It will burn through in a split second. The paint on edges is always thinner than on a facing front. Well, the flat pieces? The edges is always thinner. So you always run the risk of burning through, and it does go through really quick. Ask me how I know, but I've done it many times. So don't go too mad. Just be gentle. I'm not applying a huge amount of pressure here. Just enough that I know it'll polish out what we need it to. And then using the edge of my fingernail to push into the corners. And yeah, just go around. It's a long, laborious task, but this is something that's ultimately prominent on the car at the end. You are going to see this massively. So it's time well spent, and you can't go wrong using our polish system. It's very forgiving, very, very easy to use. And these new cloths we're selling at UMP are very good as well, much better than the microfiber ones. And there we go. Just make sure you get a nice even polish all the way around. And then we can wipe this off and come with the polish, which is a less abrasive version of the compound. So there we go, with a clean cloth. Give it all a good buff up, get any excess residue off, any polish or compound in the recessed areas you want to get rid of as well. We don't want to be leaving any of that behind. Apologies today if my voice sounds a bit weird. I have a really bad cold and I'm really struggling to do these voiceovers. But I've got to do them, so we're here for now. So I start coughing and spluttering, you know why. There you go, even just with the compound, we've got a nice glossy finish back on that paintwork. It's looking really good. So again, we can then come back with the polish. And do the same again. Again, not as aggressive as the compound, but you still need to be careful. Like I say, it's just being systematic around every area, give it a good polish up, and then come back with a clean cloth, buff it off. So we're going to today do these rear quarters, the 2 rear quarters, and the 2 front doors, because they're going to be installed today. We're not going to do the front wings, they're not going on yet, so we're going to deal with every part as we come to it, which breaks it up, makes it not as monotonous, but we're just going to deal with it as we go through. And there we go, clean cloth, buff it all off. We've got a really nice high shine on that now. Very nice. And anybody that says, oh, these cars were never this glossy, they were. Go and have a look at them. They were really well looked after off stage. They were cleaned, meticulously cleaned. Because, you know, all these sponsors, they want their sponsorship to look good. So they were cleaned. And they are glossy if you look at them. They are glossy. So there we go, we've done the same to the doors as well, so they're all nicely cleaned up now as well. Our glue is dried on all our windows, so we can start to get them in place. Now, I'm going to leave that sticky pad in there. Why not? Not going to do any harm. I don't really care that it's there, and it might trigger somebody out there watching going, oh my god, why has he done that? So we've got some super glue here. We've applied it in the locating holes. This stage, be careful to get it in your fingers and get it on the glass or the paintwork. I'm just going to put that in place, let it hold itself in. And there's a couple of locating points that push into the body. There and there and there. And then there's a screw that holds it on the back. So again, be careful you don't get any glue on the paintwork or on the windows. And then it's a case of lining it up. I'll show better on the next one. The angle's better on the other side. You can see it easier. And then push it in place. Hold it for a second or two. The window needs to go in first. It slots in upwards. But this is where all that checking we did in the early stage of the build. We spent hours making sure all the doors fitted, the windows fitted, the boot lid, the bonnet, etc. Everything fits in place now when it's painted, and it gives us less hassle and a less drama. We don't want to be adjusting things now too much. Screwed in place. Held for a second to let the CA glue grab some purchase on it. And there we go. That's one in. Job done. If we're not too sure, give it a push in. I think the screw on this hadn't actually caught. I think what I'd done is I'd screwed it into the wing and it had pushed it out the other side. It hadn't quite screwed into the body. So just a quick unscrew and then a screw back in. And there we go. We've got it now. Don't go too crazy tightening it up because the resin will snap. And there we go. A little bit of a gap there, but it seems to be the same on the other side as well. People keep asking about the stand I've got here. This is just an RC maintenance stand. It's linked in my Amazon store down below in the description. It's about £18. It's brilliant for this. Absolutely perfect. I know a lot of you have asked recently, what is it? So same on this side. You can see it a bit better this because of the side of the car. It makes it easier to show this side for some reason. So make sure the window goes in first. We've got the glue in the same place. Glue it all in place. So you just need to hold it for a second or two and let the CA glue grab. And then we can get our screw, which I did have propped on top of this screwdriver, but I've gone and knocked it. And it's going to happen again as well, most probably. There we go. You ready? So we pop it up top. Hit the screw up. Try and do this one-handed. Oh, see, dropped it again. Told you, didn't I? Told you. Idiot I am. And there we go. Go two-handed and we can do it. And there we go. Screw it in place nice and gentle. And jobs are good. So the front door is a little bit more tricky on these ones. So again, we're going to have to get the windows in, then the door hinges, then the actual fabric door card, and then the actual door surround goes on afterwards. So we put the window in, same way we did the rear one. Now the doors are going to need tweaking a little bit. We just need to bend the window frames just back a touch. So a quick test fit of the actual fabric. That goes in there well. Perfect. So a little bit of glue, a bit preemptive on the glue. I've got to screw the hinges in first. I completely forgot as I was doing it. So just line it up. There we go. Got the hinges now. So we already test fitted these. We know the doors fitted perfect last time. The only anomaly we've added now, or not anomaly, that's easy for me to say, is with 2K'd it. It will add some thickness to the doors, but we're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So the hinge is screwed in. There we go. So that's working fine. We can then pop our door card in. We've already glued that. Fits in absolutely beautiful, like a glove. And then a little bit of CA glue. Just test fitting it to make sure it all fits well. It looks really good. The door cards are excellent. I really do like these. There we go. We've got one locating point there and 3 at the top. So a yabba dabba do, a little dab of glue. And some at the top. We've already got a bit on there. We don't need to go too mad. We can pop that in, hold that, push it down, and then repeat for the other side. And then it's a couple of screws to screw it in place. So push it in, push the door frame in, get the top screw in place. Then with the top one screwed in, nice and gentle. Again, don't put too much pressure on it. Just screw it in until you feel a bit of resistance and stop. We can see it's a little bit springy. We're going to have to adjust that window a bit. The window's stopping it from fully closing. So we'll get the bottom screw in first. So again, gentle screwing. This Tamiya Pro screwdriver is very good for these screws. You can't get a lot of torque on them, so no real chance of damaging it. Literally screw it in until you feel any resistance. It opens fine, it closes fine, it pushes closed, but the window is just a little bit too far bent in. So I'm just having a look where it's catching, seeing where it's springing, and I can see it. So we'll open it back up, and we'll just give it a little tweak backwards, gently. And there we go, perfect. On the other side, exactly the same. Get the door in place. Get the screws in. Again, I can't stress how careful to be, because number one, you're going to strip the thread that we've already created when we test fitted these screws, and that way you're going to have to remedy that then, or you'll end up cracking stuff. So don't push the resin too much. These have already been test fitted. We know they all fit in. They screw in perfectly. So get them screwed in, and you feel some resistance, stop. Exactly the same here now. So the door shuts, it opens fine. With pressure it shuts, but it's just springing open a touch. So we're going to have to see where it's catching. So it's a case of, I'm just going to wipe up a bit of excess polish that was there. There we go. Any fingerprints. It's a case of just keep closing it. You'll see it spring on the bit that's stopping it. So on this, it's just at the very top at the front. So I'm just testing it, making sure nothing else is foul on it, which it's not. We can just see just springing at the top, just a touch. So it just needs a little tweak. And again, don't go mad. Do little tiny increments. Just gonna, that's it, just a little tweak. There we go, much better. Now that, once we get the magnets on, will hold itself shut, which we are going to do. But for now, we know it's shut, nothing's foul on it. Give it a little tweak. And there we go, even better. Once we get the magnets on, that'll fully hold itself shut. Side skirts. These have been polished off camera. We flattened and polished what we did with the rest of the bodywork. And just a quick test fit to make sure they don't foul the doors, which they don't. So that's good. Yeah, we are all good there. So we've now got a bit of glue on them. A little bit of RCA glue. It needs a little dab on each locating point. Don't need to go crazy. A little bit off camera, do apologise. Just in case to line up the holes, push it fully home. Make sure it's seated properly. The door's still open perfectly. It looks good from the inside as well. And there we go. Like I say, once we get the magnet on that door, that'll shut perfect. And then the other side. For some reason, the other side is easy for me to work on this way, so I can show it better to camera. As you can see, with the skirt in place, we can still open the door, completely unhindered. Make sure it's pushed fully home. The door's still shut, and there we go. Finished. Spot on. Now we've got our rear panels to put in. Now these have been resprayed. Excuse me. I originally sprayed them in LP7 and it was just too bright of red. So I've mixed up a bit of orange in the LP7 just to give it a bit more of an orangey red, and it looks much better now. A little bit of CA glue in place, push it in, hold it nice and firm, and then repeat that for the other side as well. These precision nozzles, again, proving very viable, really helpful and useful. And just very carefully line everything up and push it home. And there we go. Well worth the respray. They're a much better match to the decals. Again, not 100% perfect, but probably as close as we're going to get for sure. And there we go. Quick check of everything. Looks good. The doors line up really well. Windows look good. That rear trim looks good. Really starting to come together now. So the next stage is the engine bay. We've got some ancillary components to put in there, and then we can get the engine in, which is good. We're going to do the magnets as well. But for now, looking good. Got door handles to go on. Still lots and lots and lots to do. Loads to do, but we're just going to work our way through systematically. So there we go. This is going to be the magnets now, I believe. So you get two magnets, one for the door shut, one for the door itself. There's a couple of white metal parts to go on. We've already done the other door. I've already done one. So we're going to pop this piece in. This is handed. It goes a particular way around. Refer to the instructions and you'll see it. A quick test fit. And it does fit where we want it to go. There's a little pin at the back. We don't need the pin to be as deep as it is, so we're just going to cut a bit of it off. I'm going to put a little dab of CA glue on its locating point, like so. Then grab our tweezers and try and manipulate in place. A little bit tricky to do, but not too bad overall. Get stuck to your fingers, then it starts getting a bit tricky. It's a case of lining it up, which is easier said than done, as you can see. Be careful, CA glue at this stage doesn't fall on your bodywork or glass work. You don't want to ruin all the hard work you've already done. And there we go. Once you've got it lined up, push it fully home. Like so. There we go. That's our piece in. Then we've got a magnet that goes in the door. This side, there's a little hole that it sits in. So a little dab of glue in there and push it home. Make sure it still shuts, which it does. Then on the opposing side, in that white metal piece, is a nice cylindrical part where the magnet sits almost perfect. So we're going to put a little bit of glue in there and then try and get the magnet in. This is quite tricky to do because it is attracted to the tweezers. You'll see it keeps sliding down. Like so. So we're going to push it as far up as we can go. Then line it up. Said plastic tweezers would be ideal, but I have none. So we're going to line it up and push it in with that cocktail stick. Once we get it where we want it. There we go. We can then push it in by hand. Nice and simple. Get a bit of CA glue clicker. Otherwise, as it happened on the other door, as soon as I shut the door, the magnet stuck to the other magnet and came straight back out. So we get a little bit of kicker in there. Just to make sure it's gone off. And we'll paint these later on. And there we go. Much better. It actually holds the door shut now. There you go. Look at that. Almost perfect. Very happy with that. It's a very satisfying thunk at the end where the magnet grabs it. So there we go. That'll do us. So there you go. You can see the white metal piece there. Oh, the door's shut. And then the magnet on the door. We'll paint that black later on. But for now, job done. Works perfectly. Holds that door shut very well on both sides. Now, we've got a load of components to clean up. These are all ancillary components for the engine bay. I'm not going to pretend to know what they are because I haven't got a clue, but this is a strut brace. There's a lot of bits to hang off this. Some cylindrical bits for the back, the heater, intake, I assume it is. So we're going to get rid of all the seams using our Tamiya basic files. These have already been through the magnetic tumbler. It's been mostly cleaned up. And then once we've filed it, we get UMP sander on it and give it a good sand. Like so. And there we go. Now, the bottom part of this snapped off many moons ago. I still have it. So we're going to have to super glue it back together. There's two other components to go on here as well. So we need to clean up all these parts, drill them and get any parts in that need putting together now. And then they can be acid etch primed in the next part and painted up. And we get the rest of the parts in the engine bay. And then we should be able to get the engine. And that's another big step. Get that engine in place. And it'll really start to come together. So these Tamiya basic files are cheap. I like this half moon one the most for doing this. It works the best. We just get rid of all the seam with the file first. All the nasty excess white metal we want to get rid of. And then we come with UMP sanders, either the sponge or the thinny stick or both. And we get a nice shiny piece of metal from it. And like I say, using the U-Pol acid etch primer works brilliantly. And then we'll prime it in probably Mr. Surface of 1500 black and then paint it the appropriate colour later on. But lots of little fiddly parts to do. We've got some resin parts to put on there too. Like I say, we're just going to clean these up today, get everything drilled out, and get these ready almost for primer. So the only bit we have to fill is this. This is the heater intake. So it's 2 halves glued together. We are going to fill the centres, so we're going to get it all cleaned up, glue it together, put some shea glue in there as filler. Let it all dry, and we'll deal with that in part 14 next time. We've got a few fittings to add to this as well, so we're going to drill those out now as well. I'm just going to use a 0.6mm drill bit to begin with. We can widen it later should we need to. And then some mounting points for other parts as well that'll go on later as well. So that's it really. That's what we're going to do today. A couple of major steps there. We've got the windows in and the doors in. Very happy that they're all in place. We've got a whole host of other parts cleaned up, almost ready for primer for the next part. So there we go. Let's go back to me with some final thoughts. Right then, there we go. Hope I wasn't snivelling and coughing too much through that lot. I can't remember now if I was or not. It is what it is, unfortunately. But in, done, door shut perfectly. The windows look great. Magnets hold the door shut great. And it's really starting to look like a Lancia Delta now. It really is. We're getting there slowly. Currently on the go as well. Still got the Aston Martin DB11. That's still on the go. I think it's the DB11. Is it the DB11? Yes, it is the DB11. That we painted in blue, and the Porsche GT2's there as well. I've got a 15-minute video to voice over of that one, covering all the painting of it. My voice isn't up to it at the minute. There's no live show tonight either. That's been cancelled because there's no way I can take part in it for 3 hours. This is killing me now. So, yes, I'll get the videos out there as quick as I can. Nothing stops here. The modelling train goes on every day. And I'll try and get the videos out as and when I can. But I hope you enjoyed watching that. Not the most interesting of bits to watch, but it's a necessary part of the build. And if you got to that stage and you're wondering how you do it, hopefully that'll help you in future. Take your time. Keep test fitting. Trim a little bit at a time. Don't cut too much off. And you'll be just fine. It was quite easy. And hopefully I can get my replacement parts quite soon for the screen and bumper. There we are. So back with part 14 soon. Should be back with part 1 of the Porsche over the weekend because it's already done. Just needs voiceovering. And then part 2 of the Aston Martin build, the interior, will be up next. If you become a patron, which is linked down below, you get 2-week early access on all the videos. There's about 8 videos there currently waiting on early access over the last 2 weeks. So you will see them much quicker than anybody else, way before everybody else. After that 2 weeks subsides, they go on ISM YouTube, so you will see them eventually. And becoming a patron supporter helps keep these videos going as well. So thank you all for your continued support. Links for everything else down below. I'm not going to go through the list. My voice isn't going to do it today, but everything's down there. And make sure you sub to the channel, click the bell notification, give the video a thumbs up, and please leave a comment. It's killing my voice. If I can do this, you can leave me a comment down below. Alright, and enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.